ជំរាបសួរសូមជម្រាបសួរទស្សនិកជនដែលកំពុងតែរងចាំទស្សនាសូមស្វាគមន៍សាជាថ្មីជាមួយនឹងកម្មវិធី Night Meet You Talk Show ជាមួយនឹងខ្ញុំចិន្តារួមជាមួយនឹងបងទីហើយថ្ងៃនេះផងដែរយើងមានវាគ្មិនកិត្តិយសពិសេសមួយរូបដែលចូលមកចែករំលែកជាមួយនឹងកម្មវិធីរបស់យើងកុំឲ្យខាតពេលវេលាយូរតោះមកជួបជាមួយពួកគាត់ទាំងអស់គ្នាជំរាបសួរ
Tom, it's been a long time coming. I've been looking forward to this episode very much. As a fellow Australian, I'm very excited for you to share your experience. Without further ado, why don't you introduce yourself to the audience, please?
Sure. First of all, thanks for inviting me to be on the Nice to Meet You talk show.
Indeed.
So my name's Tom O'Sullivan. I'm the CEO of realestate.com.kh. I've been in Cambodia for 10 years.
Yeah, fantastic. Look, being a real estate agent for close to 20 years back home, realestate.com.kh, is this a version of, say, realestate.com.au in Australia, per se, or what's the difference?
Sure. So when we first started in 2015, we invested in a local entrepreneur who started the business in 2008. So yes, it started out as very traditional real estate platform, similar to realestate.com.au, where we listed all the agency properties for sale and rent and listed all the property developers' listings. And our business model when we first started was subscription, so people paid to post their properties on the website. We have a very different business model today, but it was very similar to realestate.com.au.
Sure, fantastic. Look, I would say REAKH and probably another portal would play a very pivotal role in terms of bringing Cambodian properties to the world and the world to Cambodia. So this is very much an amazing portal, something that I personally use when I first arrived into Cambodia and do my research and everything like that, and also look for property as well. So that's fantastic. My next question would be to talk about your experience in terms of coming to Cambodia, starting up a business, and also making a life out of it. What have been the challenges and what opportunities do you see coming ahead?
Yeah, sure. So when I first came to Cambodia, before I started the business, it was quite a shock, right? Totally different climate, totally different culture. I'd probably say the first thing I struggled with was the heat and the humidity. But as a business owner, I think they say the easiest things here are the hardest things back home and vice versa. So I think that's definitely true. I mean, one thing when we first started in 2015 was, I don't want to say, for the lack of a better term, the quality of the employees we were hiring and the investment we had to make in training and developing the employees. I will say that certainly the quality of employees where we bring on new starters and fresh graduates has increased out of sight. Due to this, one of our core values that we created was anyone can rise to any position.
Okay.
And we pride ourselves on hiring people first and foremost with a good attitude, and we're committed to training the rest.
Yep. And predominantly, a lot of your viewers or customers, which region or which country do you tend to see you get best traction, or where your audience is at the moment? Yeah.
Sure, yes. So 50% of our traffic and leads and customers are from Cambodia or based in Cambodia. So that can be local Cambodians or expats in Cambodia. We do have a heavy focus on international investors and that piece you said before about promoting Cambodia and promoting Cambodia real estate to the world. In terms of that, we see a lot of traffic and customers from all over the world, really. I mean, naturally, other Asian countries, Thailand, Vietnam, but countries like Singapore, Malaysia, Japan, and so on. But even as far as sort of all across Europe, the US, and even in Australia, where we're both from.
Fantastic, fantastic. Gender, I suppose you have a couple of questions for Tom. Please feel free to, yeah.
Yeah. So talk to us who your audience and how you found success in the market that you operate in, Tom.
Sure. So, well, it's been a long journey, right? Pre-COVID, we were very successful on the traditional real estate portal model. Post-COVID or during COVID, we pivoted our business model, which is something we always wanted to do, but COVID really fast-tracked that. So now, so while that was a very challenging time, for the better and benefit of our business, we pivoted into monetizing through the transaction. So we're still a platform business, and we work with all the real estate agencies in the country. But if we generate leads for those listings, we co-broke with that agent. And then similar with property developers, we do have some that still pay marketing campaigns, but a non-negotiable for us is that we handle the leads internally ourselves. So that pivot from selling advertising to now taking a property seeker right through from inquiry, right through to purchasing the property and signing the SPA agreement. That was the most challenging thing for me that I've ever done, not only in Cambodia, but managing a team during COVID and making that pivot in business.
But now the pivot is over and then getting better, is it?
Yeah, well, we always knew that business model would be better in this environment, right? So traditional real estate portal in Australia, if an owner wants to sell their house, they list with one agent, and then that agent manages their marketing campaign, and then most properties are sold by an auction. So in Cambodia, sort of the biggest difference is that there's no exclusive listings. So if I want to sell my house, I can list it with, in theory, every agency in the country, right? So then what happens to a platform like us is we have the same property on our website like 20 times, right? Which creates a really bad customer experience for the property seeker. So switching to this model now, we can, we're not 100% there yet, but switching to this model now will allow us to only have like one property for sale. So if this unit was for sale, we only list it once on the platform. And then we identify all the agencies that sell this property and we can share the leads around. And as I said, if it's a new development off plan, then we do that 100% end-to-end ourselves internally.
Yes. Sound good?
Yeah. I hope I've answered correctly.
Yeah.
Just going back to the international market, how has real estate KH found success overseas? I mean, I work directly with you, and we've had buyers from America, Australia, Europe, and so on. Why do they choose? How have you found them, or how do they find you?
Sure.
So to speak, yeah.
So first of all, we made a commitment when we first came into the market to educate local buyers and international investors about Cambodia and about the Cambodia real estate market. Because whilst markets like Cambodia present such great opportunities, there are a lot of pitfalls in Cambodia when buying property. So by creating these guides and videos and educating the market, we built a lot of trust. Secondly to that, in terms of the marketing landscape, local property seekers and local Cambodians really, for their local marketing, really focus on Facebook, right? Where the international property seeker is not searching on Facebook for property in Cambodia. So because we're experts at SEO, whenever someone searches a real estate search term in Google, we're the #1 real estate platform, which is why we generate so many international buyers. But also, our website is in Khmer, English and Chinese, so that also helps us generate a lot of leads from China. But we've also invested in a lot of other marketing channels outside of the website itself, right? So that can be partnering with international media platforms in Japan or Singapore, That could be building the #1 WeChat property-focused channel in Cambodia, which we also own. So it's not just our platform, but it's other channels that we own. One more example is B2B Cambodia, which is a website that a lot of international people are on before moving to Cambodia. So yeah, it's the platform, but it's the app and it's the other channels that we've also built.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing deep insight into this industry.
No worries.
So just talk to us about the buyer's journey. They find your website, they found a property.
Yep.
What's the process, and just share with us in terms of from a customer buying, I mean finding you,
Sure.
and then to signing, like what journey do they go through?
Yeah, well, that's an interesting question, T, because some of that is our IP, right? So someone submits a lead. They're interested in a property. They come into our customer service team, and then they're allocated to the relevant agent in our team.
Yep.
And then the person that advisor in our team will then work with the property developers team in your case, or the agency that's listed the property on our platform.
Yeah.
We can facilitate a lot of things that typically a lot of agencies can't in Cambodia in terms of multi-language and translation, and that goes from speaking and negotiation, but also assisting in sales and purchase agreements and translating them. We're now with an in-house legal advisor as well. So that's an overview of the process. It's a lot more intricate than that.
So everything's pretty much done online, video call and phone calls and emails back and forth. Is that sort of in a nutshell?
Sure, yes. So for international buyers, look, some, and to feel comfortable, will fly into the country to make the purchase, obviously. But all through COVID and still today, we do close a lot of transactions online. And one of our goals as a business as well is to digitalize the whole process and to solve any shortcomings or things that still use pen and paper, to digitalize this process.
Okay.
So yeah, we want to make the whole transaction digital.
Right.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I think Tom have mentioned some of the buying process, but let me ask the question. Because after the COVID, things have changed. So my specific question is, how was buying habit or behavior change over time? What trend you are seeing in terms of what type of property are doing well, and how do you see the market moving forward as a whole, and what role AE or KH and its subsidiary company will play, Tom?
Sure. So to start to answer that question, how's buyers' habits changed? Pre-COVID, and certainly when we started, we wanted to bring Cambodia real estate industry online. So, and when we first were looking for employees, I mean, one of my questions is, do you know how to use the internet, right?
Exactly.
And that communicates how, how the sort of workforce here has progressed, right? Because you wouldn't ask that question anymore. So back then, a lot of buyers still drove around the street, looked at houses and land and looked for the house sign. Not to say they don't do that today, they still do that in Australia. But certainly leading up to COVID, more and more people were migrating to online, and then COVID fast-tracked that, right? Because although Cambodia, went through COVID without many lockdowns at all, still people were staying in their house and didn't want to commute so much. So more and more people were moving online to look for property. In terms of the real estate market from pre-COVID to today, especially during, in the current, economic trends that we all face at the moment, locally and globally. Pre-COVID, so take the whole market, right? Bores were typically sold to Cambodians, and the sales rate was very, very high. To the point where a lot of bores didn't really have to do a lot of marketing. They sold off the back of having successful projects. They might have done some marketing on their own channels. So that the bore market's definitely changed. And then in terms of the condominium market, Yeah, I mean, there was a bit of a gold rush pre-COVID, and I think, well, a lot of experts locally sort of thought, well, this can't last forever. I think COVID, in a weird ways, had a positive effect on the real estate industry.
Sure.
It was probably too hot before. Certainly in the condo market, people were overselling and over-promising buyers. And there was a lot of, I guess, poor quality properties being built. And COVID has definitely washed out a lot of the poor quality developers in the country. So I think that's certainly a positive thing. So, I mean, if I keep talking about condos, right, people talk about oversupply, right, at the moment.
Yeah.
But I know I'm always optimistic, right, but I think there's undersupply of quality projects. And we're certainly sitting in, like, you know, the best quality projects. Yeah, sorry. So we're sitting in ODOM today, and it's testament to, you know, what is possible in Cambodia, right?
Yeah.
And then
I didn't pay you for that, right?
No. And then in terms of the Bore market, like, I still think it's very strong. I mean, at the moment we're leading up to an election, so you know, people are sort of holding tight for that. And you know, there is you know, the market's still recovering, right, post-COVID. So tourism's still recovering. Manufacturing is recovering. I mean, we've making a bit of a shift from garments to things like bicycles, right? We're the biggest manufacturer of bicycles now. And so, yeah, the market's still recovering post-COVID.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
But also the economic situation also plays a role, right? I'm not saying it's the best real estate market in the world, but I think it's not going to be as affected as other markets, and I certainly think that we'll see a lot more buoyant market post-COVID, and especially sort of next year. If that makes sense.
You know, I'm guessing myself and you, we moved over from Australia, and now we're in Cambodia. Overall, we have good experience. Sure, there are things that we, you know, learning to adapt to.
Yeah.
But what would you say to international customers, whether in Australia, America, or England, that are sitting on the fence about, you know, they're a bit fearful to buy or invest in Cambodia because of what they hear? What would you say to them? I mean, what would you say to them?
Yeah, to be honest, right, like I have guests coming into Cambodia all the time, and I think people, internationals, like living overseas, they really do have to come to Cambodia to see how developed it is, because everyone that comes here for the first time is absolutely amazed at how progressed the country is.
So come over and visit, check it for yourself.
Absolutely, yeah.
Wonderful.
I mean, whether you're interested in the property market or other industries, right, to really to really experience Cambodia, you have to come over here and experience.
So just adding to that, I think to do it properly, I think they would need a few weeks. You know, get to see a different part of Cambodia, whether it's rural, whether it's Siem Reap, whether it's Phnom Penh, and, you know, speak to the people and spend time with the people. I say that we are one of the most friendliest people, on earth, I would say.
Actually, an international travel agency and platform just voted Cambodia one of the top 5 countries to visit for single people, right? So, you know, those that have come, they really know how wonderful it is.
Fantastic. Genda, before we close off this session, do you have any more questions or anything else? Or?
Yes, thank you so much, Tom, for sharing some inside information, and especially about the positive comment on the investment in Cambodia.
No worries.
Perhaps my last question is, what is since you are here in ODOM, and especially how you feel about having like a business owner having an office here in ODOM?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great opportunity. I've seen strata titled offices work really well in the country, and I definitely know that Cambodian business owners really aspire to own their own commercial property and their own office, and I think it's a really good way for an international investor to diversify their investment in Cambodia. So I think typically they'll buy a condominium and then something like a strata titled office to diversify their investments. But I also think that there's not a lot of strata titled office spaces available in Cambodia. So I think credit to the developer for identifying this opportunity in the market. So I think, yeah, strata titled offices are a great investment in Cambodia, yeah.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Look, just to close it off, as mentioned at the start, my personal experience with realestate.com has been a place where you would find the properties, but also where you would do research. I think recently you've added a buying in Cambodia's guide. What do you call it?
Yeah, so most of our content is educational content. We don't really write a lot of news. We write a little bit if it's topical to real estate. We're certainly not news breakers. And then we do annual publications. So one is the Consumer Sentiment Survey, which we've been doing since 2015. We publish that yearly, and we're able to analyse trends about what people are looking for, what budgets they have. Are they ready to buy now or in the future? And then we've recently published for the third time a Why Cambodia guide, which is an investment guide. But a little bit more simpler and easier to understand. That's for both, local Cambodians, expats, and international investors. And it just gives an overview of, the Cambodian business climate, the Cambodian economy, with a bit of a focus on property, of course.
Yeah. Very short. Since you mentioned the word "Why Cambodia," I'm going to put that on to you. To the international audience, why Cambodia?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about a lot of it today, right? But I think emerging markets and certainly Cambodia present a unique opportunity for international investors. Not just the price of a property. It's obviously lower than markets like Singapore, but also the returns. So, for example, right, like I personally bought a property. For say $140,000 6 months ago, and it's now worth $180,000, right? So the appreciation value in a country like this is
There's
phenomenal.
Opportunities still, opportunities,
And I forecast I'll be able to rent that property out for say $1,400, right? And I see that also in ODOM, in terms of it's in the best location in Cambodia, right? I think. Certainly another trend that we're seeing at the moment is because people do want to be a little bit more, I guess, safer in their investment choice in the current climate. So pre-COVID, we saw like secondary tier cities or locations in Phnom Penh being quite popular for that growth potential. So not to say they're not popular today, but Choi Chung Ba, 60-metre road, sort of those locations just outside of the centre of Phnom Penh were popular. But now, because people just want to be a bit cautious, certainly this year, people are taking that sort of somewhat safer option and buying in areas like BKK or Tonle Basak. So that's another trend we're seeing. Sorry, I went off script. All right. Sorry.
I would say, as usual, the flight to quality.
Yeah, well, that's a great term, and I'm going to steal it from you.
Flight to quality. I would say, I've used this many times. Cambodia property market or any market that exists in Cambodia is not so unique. It always follows trend, and the trend right now is flight to quality. So. I guess that's a way to.
To be honest, I'd 100% agree with that. I wish I remembered to say it. To be honest.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, and that's also a trend that we're seeing, right? Like, there's a real opportunity in the real quality end of the market because there's not a lot of it on the market, and there's certainly demand from renters. And then a lot of successful developments also sort of in the lower end of the market, catering for those middle class first home
we could talk all days, I suppose, but I
agree.
guess we're going to wrap up the session. So, to our audience, if you find the information that we've shared so far helpful and useful, please feel free to let your friend know, but also please like and share, and also comment. Any questions, please make a comment or ask questions in the posting, basically. So, Tom, it's been a pleasure, and if there's no further last word, nice to meet you, and thank you.
Yeah, and pleasure and thank you for both having me on. And we really do look forward to working with Urban Living Solutions for ODOM and your other projects in Cambodia, and I really look forward to that.
Fantastic. Well,
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.